don't think I haven't been keeping an eye on the official Discord for signs of spoilers from the devs. Oh yes, I have. And there's some dev chat worthy of a video. So let's begin with some words from Loki about 1.4 for mobile devices. There is no launch schedule that has been given out by any official source, just to be clear. I'm just saying there is no official information. I'm not saying one way or the other when it will be out, because so much of that depends on how testing goes, etc. And it's a long list of things to test. He would carry on by writing, "Pylons are so good." To which TomTom on Discord wrote, "No, like did they announce they are working on pylons?" Loki's answer, "If by working on pylons you mean they are already working, then yes." Starmy commented, "It's honestly mind-blowing that 1.4 is even coming this year, since 1.3 took like 3 years. Loki's answer, "There is dev work and then there is testing and beta iterations. 1.3.1 to 1.4 is no small amount of things to check. But hey, they have said it's out this year, so even if it is a lot of work, it seems like it'll be out before Christmas. Fingers crossed." TLOD wrote, "Isn't Old One's Army PC exclusive?" Loki's answer, "I mean, you can see the Tavern keep in the video." So there you have it. But enough from Loki. It's actually been Lineforce who's been an absolute madman on Discord. Lately anyway. He wore out his keyboard typing this week, that's for sure. And he made his grand entrance with this comment. And would follow up by this of all things. "I biked for 3 hours today and ate 9 burger patties." But fear not, his conversations actually included actual Terraria chat. And let's get to that. He wrote, "If you are playing expert or master and you have your money taken, if you look at the map, you can see there is a money icon. And if you go back there, the enemies with the money will respawn within certain limitations. Anyone on an expert or master server will see it within a few minutes. The map will be covered with money icons." Shiny BLM writes, "Lineforce, did Redigit have a lot of fun developing For the Worthy?" Lineforce answer, "I hope so. I was too busy with changelog stuff at the time. I was in my own crazy world then." And if you guys are curious, there's a new world seed in 1.4. If you type in For the Worthy, it's essentially a new type of hard mode. There are some tweaks to bosses. Some bosses are larger, some are smaller, a lot of damage changes, that sort of thing. It's one of those special seeds you can use to generate one of the super unique worlds in 1.4. Next, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, but this fellow wrote, "Is there an efficient way to check that I've researched all 5,000 items?" And first of all, I'm amazed that anyone would even try to accomplish that. Hats off if you do, I suppose. But to that question, Lineforce writes, "No, we don't really have something for that." Let's move on to some random trivia about the internal item names in Terraria. Lineforce told us that the mount ID for golf cart, which obviously is a 1.4 thing, is called Golf Cart Somebody Save Me. That same commenter was back in a discussion about certain items not being researchable because they can't be kept in your inventory. They wrote, "That's like a lot of less things to research then." Lineforce's answer, "There are a lot of items that cannot be researched, like hearts as you found. They are specifically coded to be non-researchable if you somehow got them in your inventory. I know because I made that list by hand. I personally assigned all 5,000 research count values to that list." The same commenter was back with, "Is there a way to get an armed zombie statue or a skeleton statue in journey mode without T-edit?" Lineforce's answer, "Not yet. I changed that today though. It will be accessible in the future. Next update. You won't get them in old worlds, but they'll be added to the world gen pool for all worlds now." Doggy writes, No response to my wanting heart shrines back. To that, Line 4's responded, heart shrines are never coming back. They were a mobile thing. And I guess a lot of the old, what do you call them, legacy mobile items, mobile features have just gone away. I guess they really meant business with the whole 1.2 to 1.3 transition. They did a clean sweep and got rid of a lot of the old stuff that was unique to mobile. It's just not coming back. QT Roar Harder writes, will you ever bring back the suspicious looking apple? Line 4's answer, no, we aren't adding mobile stuff back in. The apple especially is legally tricky. And he is of course referring to this worm pet that it spawns. It's taken from the Worms video game series. It's pretty cute. But Line 4's would go on to elaborate, because it's from another game and the contract doesn't cover it being added. Llama writes, in items, Empress is referred to as Fairy Queen. Interesting. Line 4's response, it was before we knew her name. So I guess that was just a placeholder name for the Empress of Light. Line 4's would follow this up with, how about these ones? Tax Collector's Stick of Doom, which is literally commented with a note, quote, because no one but us reads this anyways, right? End quote. I like this secret developer trivia. Anyway, Grainballs wrote, Line 4's, how many weapons have been scrapped from various updates? Line 4's response, I don't have an exact number list, but it's probably around a dozen. Grayballs was back with, how many scrapped NPCs? The answer, I don't think we ever scrapped the town NPC. Line 4's would go on to muse, you guys missed when frog accessories stacked. Those were crazy times. If you stacked every single frog-based accessory, the flight jump height bonus multiplied. Sounds cool, but, it was also the issue that it didn't negate fall damage, and promptly died. So, yeah. Discussing his own authority to make changes to the game, Line 4's provided us with some insights. He wrote, so any change I make has to be 1, confirming to any restrictions Redigit or Senix have, and must be approved by them. 2, be code workable without major consequences or bugs as a result. 3, be a minimal codework change that either I can do by myself, or the better coders can do within a reasonable amount of time without distracting from more important issues. And then finally 4, can't introduce worse balance issues on the way, ideally. But now a reference to yet another update coming our way. Line 4's writes, doing review testing on items takes time and I can't always fix everything. The next update is going to have another very large batch of balance changes. I think it took me like 4 weeks to do the research legwork on the current batch of changes, which we are implementing currently, and about 3/4 of the way done implementing. So us PC gamers will have something coming down the road, maybe in the near future. Speaking about boss balance, Line 4's had this to say. Yorai has a policy of not making bosses he can't beat without getting hit in tier-appropriate equipment. Moonbird wrote, I feel there should have at least been some boss changes, even if minor ones, in Master Mode. The response, a lot of people feel that way, but Master Mode was designed from the very beginning to just be stats. It was never going to have AI changes. If you're curious about Line 4's pending balance changes, he did go on later on to write, I have a like 80-page balance thread on the forums where I've had a ton of discussion with members of the community. You can get a general idea of some of the stuff I'll be looking into from that thread. Getting into something a little more frivolous, Shadow Chicken wrote, Hey Line, have you considered a gnome army? The answer, I don't think so, but I have tried spawning 50 gnomes at once to see what happens when they run into the sun. Turns out they can't petrify on top of each other, so they create a trail of safety via the bodies of their fallen brothers. And he shared this image, which, by the way, was named They Never Stood a Chance. So, yeah, those are the gnomes in action. Interesting. Speaking of his assignments at Relogic over roughly the past year, Lineforce had this to say. Since October, I've probably put in a dedicated 2 months of my work time and about 1 month of off-the-clock time to reassessing balance and low-level design issues that I can fix within my limited skill set. And I know it's only the tip of the iceberg. My current change list that we're working on is about 170 lines long, and some of them have subcategories that include dozens of changes themselves. So that's quite a bit. Jax Jones writes, "How's it going on mobile, Lineforce?" The answer to that, pretty good, though I don't work primarily on mobile. So, yeah, that's promising at least. No red flags about a delay to 2021. So, fingers crossed, as I said earlier. But changing gears for a second, Lineforce writes, "I accept full responsibility for Party Girl bathwater. However, a point in my favor, I did ask Red's permission first, and he immediately said yes." And Lineforce would go on to share this evidence. So, this is how one of the world's most popular games gets made, folks. This is good stuff. Lineforce also wrote, "I take full responsibility for Angry Dandelion. However, its extremely high scaling damage is a bug and fixed for the next update." I was wondering why that thing got me in a recent game, so it is a bug. Okay, makes me feel a little better. And then Lineforce concluded with, "I can't believe it's as late as it is. I need to go to bed. I have Terraria work in the morning." Good night, sweet prince. And of course, thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you've made it, I'll see you next time.